After a deafening silence, President Zelensky has finally broken his silence and conceded the loss of Seversk, acknowledging that Ukrainian troops have been forced to withdraw from the battered city. The real story, however, isn't the loss itself, but the staggering delay in its admission. While Russia's flags have been flying over the city's ruins for a full 2 weeks, Kyiv has only just now managed to whisper the words tactical withdrawal. The official narrative is a tired, recycled script, a strategic retreat designed to preserve precious lives. This explanation, however, rings hollow to many observers, who see chilling parallels to other so-called strategic withdrawals that were, in reality, crushing defeats. A single glance at the map reveals the devastating truth. Seversk was never just another town. It was the eastern gatekeeper. It's the linchpin of the northern Donetsk fortification belt, a formidable defensive line painstakingly constructed by Ukraine over the past decade. Though not a sprawling metropolis, its strategic value was immense. The fall of Seversk is a catastrophic blow, ripping open multiple new avenues of advance for Russian forces and allowing them to bypass the main axis of attack from Pokrovsk, threatening to unravel Ukraine's entire defensive posture in the region. The Russian assault was as swift as it was brutal. By mid-December, a flood of videos emerged from Russian channels, all showing their troops firmly in control of the city. The main hammer blow was reportedly delivered by Russia's upgraded Third Army Corps, a powerful formation operating under the southern grouping of forces. The offensive was a masterclass in combined arms, unfolding along 3 primary axes, northwest, east, and south, which rapidly converged to form a suffocating 3-sided encirclement. The writing was on the wall as early as November, when elite Russian reconnaissance units had already sliced through Ukrainian lines and infiltrated the city's outskirts, signaling the beginning of the end. Ukraine's defense, it seems, was crippled from the start. Reports suggest a critical shortage of manpower, leaving defenders stretched dangerously thin and unable to counter the multi-pronged Russian assault. As Russian forces punched deep into the urban center, Ukrainian units became disoriented, losing track of enemy movements and finding themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. The urban warfare that followed was a chaotic meat grinder, but after nearly half a month of relentless street fighting, a coordinated breakthrough from the north and south shattered the Ukrainian lines. The main defensive grouping in central Seversk, once the anchor of the city's defense, was decisively defeated and overrun. In less than a single month of direct urban combat, Russian forces had seized one of their most significant prizes in this sector in over 3 years. Seversk had fallen. Yet for 2 long weeks, an eerie silence emanated from Kyiv. It was only then that the Ukrainian General Staff finally issued a statement, a carefully worded piece of propaganda acknowledging the withdrawal. The official line was predictable. The retreat was a calculated move to preserve the lives of their soldiers, a heroic sacrifice that had successfully exhausted the advancing enemy. Even while admitting the devastating loss, Ukrainian officials desperately tried to spin the narrative. They boldly asserted that Seversk remains under Ukrainian fire control, that Russian supply lines are being mercilessly pounded, and that their forces are still valiantly fighting their way towards Sloviansk. Critics, however, are not buying it. They interpret this statement as a transparent and cynical attempt to manage public perception, a desperate effort to mask the bitter taste of defeat. To them, the message is simple. Seversk was lost. The defensive line was broken, and Ukrainian forces are in a full-scale retreat to their next fortified position. The tactical withdrawal narrative is seen as nothing more than a cheap rhetorical trick. Proponents of Kyiv's strategy, however, argue there is a method to the madness. They claim that Russia is now being forced to disperse its precious troops to secure the captured city and clear the battlefield of any remaining pockets of resistance. This, they argue, inevitably weakens Moscow's offensive potential elsewhere on the front. In their view, Russia has once again blundered into a Ukrainian tactical trap, trading land for massive casualties. This narrative, they insist, is a powerful tool for boosting Ukrainian morale and setting the stage for future counter-engagements. With many eyes now turning toward the heavily contested city of Kupiansk, the information war rages on. Recently, Zelensky himself posted a video, a piece of chest-thumping propaganda allegedly showing a successful Ukrainian presence near Kupiansk. But the celebration was short-lived. Almost immediately, online sleuths and independent observers began picking the footage apart. pointing out glaring inconsistencies in the landmarks that suggested the video might have been staged far from the front lines. If these accusations are true, critics are left asking a chilling question. Why would Ukraine's leadership resort to such blatant deception at such a critical moment? Supporters, ever loyal, offer a simple defense. Zelensky is a trained actor, a master communicator who understands the power of perception in modern warfare. Regardless of the video's authenticity, one fact remains undisputed. Kupiansk is a hellscape. Analysts describe it as a heavily contested kill zone, where both sides have deployed extensive drone surveillance, turning any movement on the ground into a death sentence. The sky is thick with eyes, and the slightest misstep can bring down a storm of artillery. Russian commentators, brimming with confidence, argue that once their ongoing operations to secure their gains are complete, their forces will resume their relentless westward advance. They dismiss any Ukrainian attempts to retake lost ground as futile, a desperate and pathetic last gasp. These commentators paint a grim picture of Ukraine's military capabilities, claiming that Kyiv has suffered catastrophic losses to its strategic reserves, leaving it with little to no capacity for sustained counteroffensives. The well of manpower, they insist, is running dry. In the end, critics are left to mock Kyiv for its 2-week delay in admitting the loss of service. They see it as yet another humiliating episode in a long pattern of propaganda. In denial, another textbook example of abandoning a city in chaos, only to later rebrand a crushing defeat as a brilliant tactical withdrawal. The cycle of loss, denial, and spin continues, but on the ground. The map tells a different, more brutal story.